Welcome, everyone. Today we have an incredibly special guest joining us, a true pioneer in the world of immersive design for businesses. Our guest began his journey as a 3D designer and has since transformed into a leader in the immersive technology space, helping major brands create stunning virtual environments that define audience engagement. We'll be diving into his journey, exploring how 3D design and platforms like Unreal Engine can create high-impact, business-driven virtual experiences. If you're curious about how immersive environments can enhance corporate storytelling and engagement, you are in for a treat today. Thank you so much, Joy, for being here. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for calling in from Taiwan. I know it's late over there, but our show is very international. So we're grateful for you to call in and be with us. So, Joy, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in 3D design, Web3, and then metaverse, and what got you here?
Yeah, so that story, yeah, let me start at the very beginning. Since like my path really started when I was doing 3D design for brands and trade shows, events, physically actually. So I was in the East Coast, kind of lost, trying to get into the game industry. Nothing there outside of maybe like Bethesda games. So at the time, I just found myself in the event design industry, rendering designs in 3D using Maya, 3D Max, and just was frustrated. So at
Yeah.
some point, I just ended up moving to LA because that's where all the game studios are. And when that happened, and this is when I turned 30, this is that kind of like, oh no, I need to do something. This is that age where you just need to make a big move, right? So I just ended up starting everything over in LA, thinking I was just going to get into a real game studio, but ended up starting my own game company called Pixel Canvas. And that was our first product was a VR game, a horror game, and it was with a group of friends. But meanwhile, at the day job, I was still working at a experiential marketing company called George P. Johnson, rendering, in VR and using Unreal Engine at the time. So I was already being disruptive in that industry while everybody's using 3D Max, V-Ray still rendering 20 minutes for a single frame. I was rendering very photorealistic in 120 frames per second using an Unreal Engine and also VR. So some of the accounts that was on was auto show or automotive, like Toyota, Honda, and being able to have like a Mazda client just like, hey, walk over my desk, put on this VR headset, and they're like, wow, it's so immersive. I feel like I'm at the auto show, right? I'm able to open up doors, interact with these cars, configurators. Um, and yeah, like once COVID happened, that was the moment that it wiped out trade shows overnight. Big disruptive thing that happened. I just happened to like, hey, I have a game studio team. I can start doing virtual events, and
Nice.
from there it just rolled into what it is now. Pixel Canvas, the company that makes virtual experiences for brands. You can call it metaverse. We have a platform as well that you can spin up these experiences within minutes.
Beautiful. So the gist of the story is that you brought yourself into the right place, and then the right time also happened, and the right market that you started working on. So that's where the magic happened. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So in terms of like this platform, can you expand a little bit more? Kind of like what did you learn from your 3D design experience that then led you to do it this way, this specific type of product or platform?
well, I think I think the standard everybody, if you just kind of follow like all the designers at the time. This was 2015, let's say. The standard was just using either Maya or 3D Max, using some sort of render software like V-Ray, and yeah, the design process was everybody was doing it this way. It's like you model things, you light it, you do the concept. Um, and I always thought, like, with Unreal Engine 4 at the time when it first came out, it was like, wow, like it's already hitting that photoreal in real time. And my whole thing was like trying to match, if I can get this real time game engine to match the renders of V-Ray, then why are we waiting around 20 minutes for one single frame where we could just like make this real time? Because it opens the door to interactivity. Real time means like I can gamify it. I can put this on a VR headset and let people walk around, or which now our platform, the biggest benefit now is like cloud rendering. You can jump into a link and have multiplayer. And I'll later on have some like case studies to show you some of these examples, but it's essentially an online multiplayer game now for brands, right? So that just opens up so much opportunity for marketing or again virtual events. That's where we started, and for networking, and just that simple interactivity just opens up so many possibilities for brands or music or architecture.
So the quality of Unreal Engine kind of caught your attention, and then the real-time rendering factor that you could have. Awesome. I want to take a minute and thank our amazing community that are so engaging in the comment section and watching this live. Thank you, Gabriel, Jane, Fatima, Jessica, and anyone else who's tuning in live or watching the recording afterwards. We're so grateful for you being here. Yes, like Gabriel, please put your question in the chat. We'll get to it very soon. So before we go into more specifics, I want to show some of your projects so our audience kind of get a visual sense of what we're even talking about. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen and you can walk us through a couple of these projects, and then we can go into more specifics of the design and everything. So tell us more about this project. What is going on here?
Yeah, so this was Digital Fashion Week this year. So we did a Digital Fashion Week, London and New York, and this was with Claire that got me involved really only 4 weeks before the show, with Epic Games as well, Epic Games London. And the scene that your host, actually, if you go to the very beginning, maybe I can kind of time the explanation of what's happening, what you're seeing on screen. But yeah, like this was very quickly turned around. I got one of our Thailand partners involved as part of the design that we were working with already, and then Excite Digital, which does hybrid events, so they did the on-site like audio visual. Yeah, you'll probably need to do a little refresh there. Yep, there you go. Yeah, there you go. So this is Epic Games London. That's Claire, the host, and this is physical event with a huge LED wall at Epic Games. That's us. We did all the virtual, where people with their avatars online can visit anywhere in the world and watch the live stream of the event, and then there at the event they can see you live. Coming in with your avatar. So we called it the portal into the metaverse, right? So you're able to wave at people online can see you. So you get that live interaction that was quite unique, even for Epic Games, right? They were able to kind of like, number one needs to look their quality, their standard to put, your visuals as kind of the hero shot at their big LED wall of their live event, right? I think that's what we bring to the table is we're able to kind of meet those standards, but also in real-time technology, which is what they want.
So I see in some of the screens that people from the physical, like here, physical space are interacting with virtual and vice versa. So is there a camera capturing that and real-time kind of doing that transition to the avatar, or how does it work?
Yeah, so it's nothing fancy. It's literally if you you know if you play video games, especially shooters, when you die, it's the spectator camera, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
still able to kind of move the camera or snap to different camera angles, and you see people running around online. You know the people are still alive, right? So that's literally what we did, right? It's like literal a spectator camera that was running on site with the audio visual team that's controlling that LED wall, and
Mm-hmm.
then we just placed it at the hero shot. You see the buildings; those are the sponsors. We were in there, right? And that's the hero shot where people spawn in. So now you're seeing live multiplayer people jumping into the servers. They're able to see, like, we even have markers like, "Hey, smile, you're on camera," or "Dance," right? So this is just a way to really bring that interactivity live to the live event in London, where it's like it's kind of interesting. You're seeing all these movement and characters running around, and they're going to get curious. They're like, "Oh, is that real people like running around live right now?" So yeah, it's nothing crazy innovative, but we used it in a very, I guess,
Unique way. Mm-hmm.
meaningful way. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, I mean, we talk about fashion a lot in this show, so this is a great example of bridging the physical and digital. Beautifully done. Amazing. So let's get into some other ones. I'm gonna stop sharing. And we actually have some comments. Casey is saying, I've been really impressed with the work Joey and his team has been doing. So definitely great job. And Casey, okay. And there are some other amazing folks just joined in, and Chewy, Jojo, William, and so on. Thank you
If you
so much
recognize
for
some of these names, yeah. Hello,
yes, yes,
everybody.
great friends and community. Amazing. So I'm wondering, in terms of like, before we get into more of these projects, can you walk us through kind of like your process of creating something like we just saw? Kind of how does this start? Does it start with ideation with the company or the brand or the creators? And then you go through the process of developing that and then kind of touch basing and getting on the same page. How does it work?
Yeah, I'm just seeing if I can bring up like a visual as well as I walk through one of these projects. So let me try to share my screen as well.
And Fatima says that she was at that show that we just saw. Amazing. So she was physically there. Were you physically or digitally, Fatima? Your avatar or your physical self or both? Amazing. So are you ready to share your screen or?
Yeah. While I have this, that last one, let's stick to that use case, right? So I think there's a lot of breakdown here with the deck for Digital Fashion Week. Um, Let me know if you can see this full
Yeah,
screen
yeah,
now.
we can see it. Yeah, yeah, I'm sharing.
Yeah, so I think it'd be good to stay on that one use case that we just did, and we did one last year. So the purple version that you see here, this is actually from 2023, right? So this is where, again, with Claire, Epic Games, what we ended up doing last year was just posing in front of it. And let me jump around here.
Sure.
This is from last year. So they had real models posing in front of it, kind of like the Mandalorian style. They have the
Mhm.
parallax camera in the main shot, and these models would walk in front of the virtual catwalk, right? So from the main shot, it looks like legit, right? There, you can tell, it's fake, but it's also like, oh, that looks perfectly aligned. So is that a real
Right.
runway, right? So it gives that illusion, and that's what ended up being a really big social media like hit from last year, where a lot of people would just pose in front of it for social media, um, and lots of stories being shared, right? So this year when we wanted to do this again with Digital Fashion Week and Epic Games, we wanted to take it a step further. So we did end up calling it the portal. So the initial idea was like, okay, the New York to Dublin installation where there's just essentially a live camera through this like circle, right? You're able to wave at people in Europe. They're able to see you in New York.
Hmm.
It was the same idea here. It's like, okay, we had this big LED wall last year. What if we put a camera here that's
Hmm.
pointing to you, and then online we have the live stream of that footage, so you can see the live people at the event, and
Right.
they can see you, your avatar. So that way you get that live interaction. Um, and that's what we ended up doing. So the setup was we took what you're seeing here, Translucia, one of our Thailand partners, their 3D files in this design, this lotus flower that's futuristic. We just brought it into our platform. We made it optimization to make it run real time. It's got to look good, and that only took about 2 weeks, right? So we work fast. Our development teams were able to really bring this to a production ready quality with all of our infrastructure. And yeah, like this was the final result within 2 weeks, and then we're able to essentially bring it to the live event as like kind of the hero shot for the event here, where people can stand in front of it for a photo op, and also just kind of interact with people online.
Did you also create those kind of designs of the clothing, or did you import them into the metaverse as well, or was it mostly the environment?
Yeah, so good question. So Claire had a competition where
Mhm.
they had 6 winners. So you see some of these
Right.
clothing, right?
Yeah.
These were Clo 3D. So some of these designers, they won her competition online, Clo 3D digital kind of like 3D designs,
Hmm.
and each of the artists submitted their 3D files for us, and we just kind of brought it into Unreal. And that's the beauty of our platform being cloud rendered. We don't have to, uh, optimize it too much. We still need to clean it up a little bit, but these are essentially 200,000 to a million polygons, right?
Wow.
So you compare that to like spatial.io. I'm pretty sure 200,000 would blow up the entire scene, right? I think their limitation is 100,000 polygons for the entire file, right? So with this, we're able to push tens of millions of polygons in real time on any device because we bypass that with cloud rendering.
Amazing. Wow. Beautiful. Beautifully done. And Fatima was there digitally, and our amazing community is supporting that. This is very beautiful. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That was a really cool example, and how you combine the physical with that. Let's look at another example. What about, let's look at this one. Perfection, Perfectoverse. Tell us about Perfectoverse.
Yeah, so this one, it was DJ Paul Confold. We volumetric scanned his performance, as you see there. 4 hours of his performance capture, and then once we have the 3D file, it was actually a film first built in Unreal 5. We
Oh,
took all those scenes and animation captures, and we brought it into our platform. And then this is NFT LA. What you're seeing here is a drone shot of all the LED screen is showing off the film, the metaverse film, and then there's him performing live in front of his metahuman, and then online you can join virtually with the Pixel Canvas experience. So tying all three experiences into one night. So again, that's kind of our tagline, connecting the IRL and URL together. So yeah, we've done quite a bit of these nowadays. Now that we have the music and the fashion, just really trying to bridging that gap between the physical and the virtual worlds.
and makes sense so much in LA. That's beautiful. So tell us about that film. What was the story, and kind of like, did you guys base it off of a physical film, or how did it work?
So it was actually in partner with Eric Schwartzel. He was the one that creative directed this film. It's actually on Apple TV still.
Uh,
And yeah, you can watch a 72-minute film rendered all in Unreal Engine 5. And the reason why it's called Perfectoverse is Oakenfold's record label was called Perfecto, and then
Mm.
everybody wanted to add verse behind everything at one point back in 2022. So that's what ended up being, this film called Perfecto Verse. And it's just really going through. I think Okafor had his own set that he created, almost like an album for the metaverse. So it was
Wow.
like 72-minute set.
Very cool. That's amazing. Yeah, we often talk about the intersection of entertainment with these emerging technologies. But yeah, this is maybe even more cost-effective way of storytelling, because a physical film probably would have cost a lot more in time, right? So
Yeah, I
this,
think the idea here is, I think a lot of music artists are looking at ways like Fortnite. Travis Scott kind of was the first to make huge waves with that one.
Mhm.
Just this like performance capture in 3D where people can essentially view it from any angle, like a video game, right? They're able to jump around with their friends online and see, and capture that from. They're essentially the cameraman at this point. They're able to see the performance, and they're with their friends communicating. So that, I think that's where a lot of people are headed that way. Actually, I had a call of 88 Rising's, VP of partnerships this morning, right? And they have a St. Gabriel Square 3D file of Head in the Clouds festival, right? So that's something that we're also looking to, bring something like this, where we bring the experience beyond the venue, because at the end of the day, the stage sets where the arenas can fit X amount of people. So
Right.
take this online where anybody in the world can visit and see the performance live. It's just potential more, virtual ticket sales.
Wow, amazing. And accessibility, because not everybody can be there physically, so why not? And that's the other fashion show we talked about. So tell us about a very different use case, which is, this type of like, let me start from the beginning. This type of like home goods sale, like LG, you had this partnership. Let me refresh. That's basically you're showcasing the product, right?
Yeah, so lots of corporate clients love this one. It's future of e-commerce. I think this is our
Mm,
best example. The LG name, their kitchen products, called SKS. It's kind of their signature kitchen. At the time, this was a kitchen convention event that was fully virtual, because all the
yeah.
trade shows were locked down. I think there was only two. Every company in that year had their own website showcasing their products online, some sort of virtual experience. I think it was only LG and Samsung that did something cloud rendering like us, right? What we did here for LG. These were the only two that really stood out, where this was cutting edge, is pushing the limits of what we can do visually. One of their biggest things was like, it has to be photoreal, it has to showcase the products
Mm,
that they had, the 3D models of each of these 12, I think it was 12 different kitchen products, like ovens, refrigerators, configurable. You can animate it, you can change the finishes. Um, and yeah, their biggest requirement was like, this thing's got to look perfect, or stainless steel needs to look this way, the grains go this way. So yeah, it's I would say this one was ahead of its time. I think it was very expensive. Let's put it that way. I think
yeah.
the only reason it was so ahead of its time, it was quite expensive to hit this quality, and even cloud render was so new at the time. It was like kind of expensive just to host, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's still not that cheap. And so was this an interactive experience where the audience were able to walk around, or was it more of a recording to show the vision?
Oh, this was three different kitchens that you can fully walk around in real
Mm,
time. Um, the little buttons, the UI UX to quick travel and teleport to the product and
okay.
see it animated. That's what I call boomer proofing. So
Mm,
there's a lot of these corporate clients that we have where they're so afraid of kind of the 3D gamer controls of WASD or just moving around freely. So they add these like quick travel points where they just take you right to it. So it kind of starts to look a little on rails, which I kind of defeats the purpose of going cloud rendering, right? That means you can go literally anywhere you want. But yeah, unfortunately, boomer proofing really kind of takes a step back on what's possible.
Well, we're still in the onboarding phase, so we kind of need to be okay with some transition. And again, it goes back to your audience. I'm sure if you give this to a Gen Z or Alpha, they don't even need to read anything. They just walk around on their own and explore and even discover things that we may not have want them to discover. So
Well, that's what we want actually. Exploration is
yeah.
I don't know, this video didn't show it, but there is the end product. There's a point system where every click was earning you points, and if you go above 100, you're entered into like a discount or a trip to win, Napa trip or something. I forgot. There's also Easter eggs too. We hid like 2 Easter eggs in all 3 kitchens where you really had to find it inside of an oven. So yeah, it's a way to really drive engagement, and that's what they wanted. I think this one, it was on average 20 minutes per user.
And it's about gamification, like you just said. And was this available on LG's website, or how could people reach and access it?
I think at the time it was only kept up for another 3 to 6 months. Again, this was at the very early stages of pixel streaming and cloud rendering, so it was quite expensive to kind of leave it up. But fast forward to today, I think that problem has been solved. Where number one, we have on-demand cloud rendering, meaning if you come in, you're not using minutes. If you're not, yeah, back then it was like if you don't use the minutes, you're losing it. You're paying for it. So it's a lot different now, and also the cost has come down per minute.
You spin up the servers when people are here. Awesome. And based on like what you experienced in this type of enterprises, how do you see them like adopting these type of technologies? Is it more to show that they're following the trend, or have you seen any of them actually taking it seriously and adopting it fully? Maybe not to replace their website, but at least to augment their website.
Yeah, I think definitely you said it right there. It's not to replace the website. I think what we've done a lot of work with our platform now is to embed it into any website, white labeled, right? So whatever 3D experience that we create, you could just plug right in into any website, or even just lowest hanging fruit would be just a redirect, a little button that takes you to our experience. But if you really want to just iframe it into your website, that you just never leave it, that's certainly possible as well. I would say, early adopters, there are definitely a lot of brands that wanted to just be like, say, hey, we were the first to do something like this, right? That was great PR for them, even though it was costly.
Yeah.
But the hope to like sell more fashion, products or merchandise, or in this case, kitchen products, that's not quite happening yet. There's not like a success story of like, hey, because we did this interactive kitchen, we sold 10x more, ROI on that. That hasn't happened yet, but I do think eventually it will. I think more people, once it becomes more normalized, I think brands would want to have an experience like that, at least as an add-on to their existing site, right? As to be able to jump in with your avatars online with your friends. Who wouldn't want that? So it is a transition period. I think the users, the younger they, as these kids or young adults are growing up to Roblox and Fortnite. I mean, you're already seeing that with Roblox. Every single brand has a Roblox space, right? So it's happening. They're gonna feel right at home once they jump into a pixel canvas experience, which we've been described as a Roblox for adult.
Very cool. Love it. Let's get into some of the comments and the questions of the audience. True is saying experience beyond the venue. And Jojo says, also, it's all new streams data we can capture. And William says, major step towards human-machine synergy, leveraging digital world to enhance physical world we live in. Totally. And another comment from William, engagement offers valuable insights that shape a brand's product roadmap and feature development, ultimately driving towards increasing ROI. Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't think anybody has doubt that this is the future of commerce. This is the future of the internet. It's just a matter of time, and maybe a matter of generations. But it's happening. It's definitely happening. Awesome. So let's get into some of the questions as well. Um, and Gabriel is asking, what role does community engagement play in designing successful virtual spaces, and how can companies build authentic communities in these environments?
I see.
Have you guys been doing like multiplayer in a way that kind of people can talk to each other and engage, or has it been mostly like, um, kind of everybody having their own experience? Have you had like some sort of chat between the players and engaging the community that way?
Yeah, so let me also bring up my case studies deck, walk you through
Yeah,
one that
because as you're pointing out different features, like multiplayer, I think Gabriel's point is great in terms of engaging in the community.
yeah, this one is a pretty good one to show. 4,000 concurrent users for this company called Criteo. Quite a large, internal event for their employees around the world, right? So this one was um, Asia, US, and Europe all together, and on a virtual island, branded island. It was like their own Coachella, even. And this is the live capture. It's a 4-day virtual event. Let me just kind of pause as you see here. So this was the real capture of the experience online, 4-day agenda. And then on the left here, you can bounce between watching some of their live streams, their kind of like educational discussions, and then on the right you have your video chat. You can talk to any one of your colleagues around the world, and that was the leaderboard. So people were farming this just to be on the top 10 leaderboard. They had like big gift giveaways for them, and then you're one click away from joining a matchmaking server, just like an online multiplayer game. And all the names that you see is their colleagues. You can play beer pong with them. You can join in a volcano escape room. On the right there, they can create your own parties, right? So kind of like an MMORPG online game where you can create your parties of 16 to 32 people. But in this case, it's very corporate, right? So we have this like built-in video chat on the right where you can jump into video chat, very much like a Zoom or a Google Meets, right? So something that I think everybody at this point is quite used to. And this is the world map. So again, like kind of like a virtual Coachella. There's 3 different stage sets and a volcano escape room, and you can quick travel. But you could literally, this is open world. You can run one end of the beach to the other. It'll take you quite a bit of time, but you can do that. And there's collectibles and coins, tons of games, just to make it fun. Like I think the issues during that time was, what's the alternative? It was probably a 4-day Zoom call, right? So wouldn't you rather do something like that instead?
That's amazing. How was the bandwidth requirement when you're doing both the type of conference call and also live streaming this?
Um,
Is it
sorry.
a challenge to consider, like, because we typically do one or the other, but I would imagine having a conference call in parallel to or combined with having the live stream game might be a little bit challenging on the internet bandwidth. What do you think? Was that a challenge?
Uh, I think at the time we probably didn't have that live stream set up, not for Criteo. So we do it kind of a traditional way of just like a live stream page, like kind of like a Twitch or YouTube live.
Oh, okay.
However, a lot of our recent events, we do have full on live stream on the screens, right? So something like, like this ASU one, that stage,
Right.
we could put a live stream presentation of like a CEO, or in this case, the dean. This was actually a NASA event for ASU, right? So it's an educational event where the names that you see are staff members and students, right? So you can have these like screens in the world that's live. Like we can put any sort of live stream content there, and you're able to go up just like as if you were at a stage. In this case, this was an auto show kind of design where you can go to booths, and the big booth there has the main stage. And again, with our video chat on the right, you're able to kind of get to know the person behind the avatars while you're exploring at the same time. Right.
Yeah.
So John here, I'm in video chat with him as well. So you can kind of lead them around like, hey, follow me, John, over here. And then here, that's the host, actually, Travis. So yeah, like we could do traditional way of viewing it. Again, giving you options.
Yes.
This back to that boomer proof thing where, one click away from the left bar here, live stream, you can watch it traditionally with global chat, just like a YouTube live.
Love it.
People that don't want to mess with any 3D navigation in WASD or even the controls for navigation, we make it like click, point, and click, right? Super easy. But even that is sometimes like, that's too much for certain demographics. So you have these kind of options as well.
Amazing. And was it accessible via mobile as well? I saw
all
someone,
devices.
Car, calling it from the car. Beautiful, amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think I love the point you mentioned about giving options, because the whole point of these technologies is to make things more accessible, and so giving options allows people with different backgrounds and skill level join and enjoy. That's amazing. Thank you. So let's talk about any other challenges that you may have experienced, whether it's through during the development process or actual execution and adoption. What type of challenges have you experienced?
I think the definitely the challenges is educating the clients, the brands that want to get into it. I think for sure 2023, even the later half of 2022, I think a lot of brands would reach out and just want to like, hey, what is this metaverse thing? They want to do like a learning, like it was just so new, right? Like everybody was paying attention to. I think the big news today was it RTFK shutdown?
Yeah, Artifact. Yeah.
Right. But at the time, billions of trading volume in NFTs and all this was a thing, right? So we did get a lot of these kind of inbounds asking like, hey, what does your metaverse do? Is there a way to trade digital assets? Can you do wallet logins? So we had a whole year of just people that were just learning, and it was a big challenge for us because it was like constantly, it was a moving target. Like one thing, NFT projects, we did a few of those. We did a couple launches like with Wu-Tang Clan NFT project, Jeremy Lin's NFT and then all of a sudden it disappears. I don't hear about it for a year. Even wallet logins, like it's like we have the features to be able to log in with your MetaMask, one click digital assets, NFTs inside of our worlds, right? So that went away for a while, and then all of a sudden, I would say crypto market is back, and we're getting all of those requests again. So it's a
good thing that you're prepared.
Sorry.
Good thing that you already prepared. You already have those features, so.
100%. I think that's what I wish we had our SaaS platform ready last time for the last bull run, because back then it was all custom built still, and our entry point price was too high. But now we have the subscription model where people could just jump in for $250 and have a virtual pixel canvas experience with their digital assets if they want to sell it, right? They can set it up themselves.
So, yeah, affordability is such an important factor, especially if, like, we're talking about even creators. They're building up their own brand. So that is a huge market that they're building the future big brands. So this is really great. Did you have any challenges when working with corporate clients like enterprises we just mentioned? Did you have any struggles with them, not, understanding their limitations or the time frame it takes or stuff like that? What type of challenges do you experience on the B2B conversation?
Yeah, I think B2B, that's actually the bulk of our revenue. Majority of it is, they generally are easier clients to please. However, at the same time, quite difficult because they don't understand anything that's
Mhm.
possible in the, at the end of the day, we're creating AAA games for brands or an Unreal Engine game for a brand, right? So it's very much like, oh, I didn't know that's even possible. The most basic things, right? You just kind of like have to kind of handhold them. It's like what's possible, and they'll ask things that's completely impossible, right? From a gaming engine standpoint. So you kind of have to deal with that. But in general, it's easier, but at the same time, like it's quite difficult with the requests coming in. Um, but no, it's definitely that's kind of our bread and butter is corporate clients, brands, and a lot of our controls. I think that's actually probably the hardest part. Actually, is how do we make this, navigations controls so easy that any older person can just come in and feel like they can at least see the content and get to the content, right? So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily age, just being a gamer or non-gamer, right? A lot of folks may not be even familiar with gaming, so that is a challenge, the user interface, right?
for sure. I mean, the 3D world itself, right? That's hard. But even you add in that the video chat. I
Mm.
mean, imagine like teaching somebody first time to use, they're used to Zoom, and all of a sudden you want them to use Microsoft Teams, right? Ours is the same way. Like even how our video chat works, that's kind of a new UI UX that you have to kind of learn. So there's all these things that can get overwhelming. You get this 3D thing and how the video chat and all the page flips, right? It gets a little bit overwhelming. So we had to get a ton of feedback in the first 2 years, just really dialing in and getting the testimonials on like what worked, what didn't. That feedback loop. That I think that's what puts our platform ahead of many others because we did get a lot of really production ready clients that gave us real feedback and used it for these virtual events in the early days. So we do have a lot of this information that we optimized, kind of what the platform looks like now, right? This is kind of many years, and at this point, we've like
Iterations.
60 different games now, mini games for
Wow,
production ready games. So we have a lot of information to tweak our platform.
love it. Very cool. And let's look at another example to talk about. You did this white label experience for Warner Media. Tell us more about
Yeah. So this one, it's actually not fully 3D. I mean, this is 3D. So this was also Unreal Engine, but this was a media event at the time. This was for Sundance Film Festival.
it. Mm.
So all the brands they see there, HBO, TBS, tons of video content or streams that they wanted to show, NBA. And then on the right there, that's a lot of our networking. I think they did some sort of career fair where people can live chat with some of their hosts. Um, but yeah, like again, we our team is really consists of two different. It's almost like two companies in one. There's a game
Mm.
design team, Unreal Engine developments, and then this is
Mm.
a very web heavy development, right? A lot of this is web development. Um, so it's a combination of two. So we kind of combine our 3D capabilities here to immerse you in kind of this Warner Media Lodge at
Mm.
Sundance. to give you that cozy feeling that you're still at Sundance, even though you're at home through your laptop. So you just try to immerse you as possible, but also, in this one, trying to keep it as familiar as possible from a website that you would normally visit. So you have all this like different page flips they can bounce between HBO Max on the left there. But yeah, as you see there, anytime you click on it takes you to a different angle where, this is the HBO Max section of the booth, right? Of the lodge. Yeah. So yeah, this one was probably the most custom we had. I would say if we were to do this again, this falls out of out of scope of what Pixel Canvas is now, because we're full on 3D. I think before we were kind of trying to do a little bit of web development at the same time, and just kind of figuring ourselves out.
So isn't this web part of it already a template that others can use too, or was that customly made completely?
Well, this is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. Was we were learning on the fly. We're getting feedback. So as you can see, why we have the left bar and the right bar. This might have been the first time we realized this is kind of our skeleton, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leaving page flips on the left bar, and then the right is all of our networking bar, right? So a lot of that code. Every time we build one of these, we do have a lot of code that we kind of like we're able to use, and that's essentially how we built the platform. Is we use a lot of projects, revenue generating opportunities to build what we were supposed to build anyways with the capital we also raised to build the platform. So both kind of helps get us towards the North Star of what you see now of our platform.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned that you have two different teams and kind of merging the two, because for the transition period we are in, this is a perfect example. You give the feeling of being 3D, but you really don't have to be 3D all the time. And so people can still experience what they need in that 2D format. So I think this is actually really great. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. It's also cost savings, right? Like when it comes to the 3D, when we do have to connect you to a server, that's minutes per, cost per minute, per user, right? So sometimes if you just do it from a 2D perspective like this, there's no streaming costs, right? So that's a way we can get even hundreds of thousands of users into this experience. I think we did have 20,000 users concurrently for Warner Media, right? So these are tricks. If you have something with so many users hitting your site that would have blown your budget for 3D, we could do something like this, right? So we have options.
That's amazing. I love this, having options. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Let's get into some of the comments and questions quickly. Chris is saying, fantastic 3D world and 2D community engagement utility, any accessibility with mobile devices. I think we mentioned, yes, you have accessibility via mobile, right?
Yeah, so all devices, mobile, tablets, any browser, any, Safari, Chrome. I joke about it, but it works on a Tesla as well. So if you want to log in with your Tesla browser, it does work.
Amazing, amazing. And we have another comment from Jojo. We just have to keep educating others on the good use cases of these immersion and interactive solutions. Totally, that's the purpose of this show and all of the discussions we're having. It's all about pointing out the good and some of the challenges and work together to fix them. William says engagement has been strong with users enthusiastic about being heard and eager to influence the development of product features tailored to their needs. Thank you so much, everyone. Really good points. Let's get into a few other projects and we kind of wrap it up quickly. I want to talk about what's next as well. So you did this one, which is an NFT project. What was going on here?
Yeah, so this is the thing that's coming back, right? So we had the Wu-Tang Clan, Method Man. He had his own NFT collection, and we did a collaboration where essentially they gave us their 3D files of his animation with some of the sponsors like 2-Bit Circus, right? You see on the
Mhm.
buildings there, Plunk and what was the last one? Dress X, I believe, was in here as well. So there's a
Yeah.
couple like sponsors, collaborations that they want to showcase their digital assets. Fun games, escape rooms. I think take a drink at the bar, get a little blurry here. Here's the booth to show off some of their NFTs at the time. That was cool. And those all
No
1.
avatar.
Yeah, this was actually by choice. At the time, we did NFT sticks to show off your PFP. I don't know if people still remember those. That was the cool thing, was to show off your NFTs.
Yeah.
So you can log in, pick your NFT, and you kind of show off as a stick with your NFT, representing your avatar. So that was a by choice kind of thing. Yeah, and then what was it? We have 4 different environments. There was a 2-Bit Circus arcade. There was kind of a home that you can change the environments and materials, and then there was like an NFT gallery. So yeah, 4 different spaces. We also was offering our own kind of like NFT for the spaces that you can own, but that was we did all right. We did raise like 40,000 in pre mints, like pre-orders, but
Hmm.
then the winter happened. We just kind of pulled the plug and returned everything. So yeah, I think it's all coming. The interest is definitely back, but not for NFTs. I would say it's more like Web3 projects, maybe token launches.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that. Another question from Gabriel. Many businesses still view immersive design as experimental. What metrics or success stories can you share to prove the virtual environments can drive meaningful ROI? So when you're working with these, enterprises, for example, what type of metrics would make them happy? Is it the engagement? Is it, I don't think you guys did really commerce as much. What type of metrics did you track?
Yeah, so let me bring up my deck here.
Sure.
Here you go. So I would say our biggest success with our platform is definitely engagement.
Mm.
We've in total have done over 300,000 hours of engagement from all of our projects combined. And you take that from the unique users, 20 minutes on average is our stats. We show that over the course of I don't know, I think over 60 at this point, different brand experiences that we've built, on average 20 minutes. We always have some sort of gamification point system, leaderboards,
Mhm.
to drive that engagement, to make people want to go and earn points, collect all these coins, and play all the escape rooms and escape and try to gun for that leaderboard. So like British Telecom's our very first client. Um, it kind of established this. It was the holiday event where they were giving out a PS5 at the time, where it was brand new. Nobody could get one, right? And they had PS5 giveaways, and their employees would farm the crap out of these games and drive so much engagement because they wanted it for their kids, right? So
Right.
that was kind of the aha moment of like, okay, this is how you get people essentially addicted, right? The more time they spend, the more potentially conversions or just better user engagement for marketing. These are all things that's quite successful for at least from our standpoint that we offer uh, for some of our clients.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of different format of social media as well, right? Because similar thing, they make us watch or scroll longer, and that is how they sell the ads and monetize and so on. And gamification and giving you a little bit of more excitement is what brings us back or keeps us engaged. So thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that.
and I want to show one more thing that I think that is quite and this is my Instagram, or our Instagram, if you guys want to jump in and follow as well. But this is the Pixel Canvas page. We have a lot of kind of these stories that we've compiled, and because of that that hybrid thing that we do, I'm not sure why this one's not playing. Let's do the Fashion Week from last year.
Physical and virtual, yeah.
Yeah, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay, so stuff like this, we get a lot of social media shares online, from events where we do hybrid. Like people online would capture their footage and share it from their laptop's perspective of them exploring and their experience online. But then let me fast forward here. So stuff like this is really cool because at your events you get a lot of these really cool, almost like a activation, right?
Yeah.
Where people can pose in front of it with their DressX AR in front of a real-time pixel canvas background on a big LED wall, right?
Right.
So you get a lot of this kind of social media shares. I think this event from last year was like thousands of impressions online. So we just kind of compile some of our favorites where people, pose in front of it, and even online, right? So it's really cool. We bring a lot of value in that way for live events as well.
And that's the whole point of user-generated content. So you kind of give them the tools and they run with it. So that's beautiful.
100%, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. We have a question from Jean, which actually leads us to what's next for Pixel Canvas. Do you have AI on the roadmap? What's coming? What exciting things you can tease us with or share so we can all support and follow?
Yeah, so definitely AI. I think everybody needs an AI slide now. So what I would say, all of our latest projects do have a NPC, non-playable character AI. Our latest clients is TSMC and the Taiwan Semiconductor Company, and there's like 3 avatars that you can literally have a full conversation with. That's ChatGPT integrated. So yeah, you can ask them anything about semiconductors and the supply chain, all that. And you can put filters around it too. So we put guardrails so they don't start talking about competitors or whatever. So these are all things that I think all of our recent clients and probably every future client would want one of these, so we have that automated as well. And I would say the rest of the AI we're using more to like speed up our either production or concept, development. There's a lot of automation and prompts that we can generate assets to help speed things along. But from a user perspective, definitely the NPC AIs are our future, I guess, hot feature.
So are you using generative AI to create 3D assets? So if someone wants to create custom assets or environments, are we there yet?
I'm pretty sure there is stuff from NVIDIA. I think there's already like some Omniverse prompting to generate assets. So we're on top of it. Our 3D artists are always looking at quicker ways. I just don't know how clean. At the end of the day, these are still, all of our assets need to be real time and clean and looks good from all the angles, even if you zoom in. So we're keeping a pulse on it. I don't think we're at the point where you can just prompt the whole world. That's, but who knows?
There are some companies, but I don't think the quality is great. So it's work in progress, right?
For sure. I think at the end of the day, like even all of our projects, it's a buggy mess the first time around. It takes multiple iterations and, just bug fixing and QA testing. So to say like AI could just prompt the perfect game experience, I don't think we're quite there yet, but again, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, with Sora, I think we saw what could be possible, and maybe one day we wouldn't need Unreal Engine or other game engines; it will be all AI. And what do you think about the future of this industry? Are there any things that you are predicting that are happening beyond what we just talked about?
Well, I think the vision is everybody's who's going to be the first to create Ready Player One. I think that movie pretty much established like where it needs to be, right? This world of this virtual world that you can tap into with a completely different persona, right? Your avatar. Um, I think one of our partners that you saw, Translucia from Digital Fashion Week, that's their vision as well. They're one of the most funded metaverse projects in Thailand. And they're trying to create a whole new digital revenue stream. Their main thing is like they own a lot of properties, like 1/3 of Thailand actually, right?
Wow.
So their future is like, hey, how do we take all of that and digital twin it and come up with a new digital revenue stream for their business, right? So I think that's kind of where it's headed. I think even the Saudis are doing that. We did some collaboration with them. They have a similar vision. Those mega projects, virtual digital world that you can visit online, get immersed in tourism, right? So there's a lot of folks pursuing this. I think brands are also you're seeing every brand is moving into Fortnite with look at Disney 1.5 billion into Epic Games.
Yeah.
Um, so it's inevitable that every brand or IP or music artists want to have some kind of virtual world. But the technology, the hardware, that's why I'm also, very well. Actually, William here, he's working with him. He's in the hardware space, right? So he knows all these server racks and how these things are scaling and how far we can. Our software only goes as far as the hardware allows, right? So it's kind
Yeah.
of we're going up together, and eventually, hopefully, in 15, 20 years, we'll be at Ready Player One.
Amazing. And it's not going to end in our environments. It's also us. I was watching the video that I will be sharing today that even humans are being replicated as a digital twin. So, really, we're moving towards a future that is quite exciting. Thank you so much, Joey. This was a really great conversation. We learned a lot. And please tell us where we can all find you and support you, your social media handles, and so on.
Yeah, so the quickest way is pixelcanvas.com. And at the bottom, there's all of our social links. It's LinkedIn is probably the best one to follow us on. We're very B2B corporate, so a lot of our stuff is there. And then the second one would be IG, Instagram. Lots of our latest stories that shows a little bit more of the behind the scenes and kind of the live event stuff that we do as well on Instagram.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you to our amazing community, William, Gabriel, Jean, Chris, Casey, Chewy, Jessica, Fatima, all the amazing folks, Jean, and anyone else who I don't see their comments, but I know you're there. Thank you so much for being with us. We do this every Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. Next week, we're talking to another gaming company that actually started from architecture. So make sure to tune in and hear their perspective because, this space is so broad and really we're revolutionizing the internet. So everyone should bring in their niche and focus. So thank you so much again, Joey. I appreciate your time and have a beautiful rest of your day, night, everyone. See you next week.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.